Hello there and welcome to Agronomag. Do you know that old saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away? Well, did you ever stop to wonder, which kind of apple really keeps the doctor away? If you have, no worries, because in today's video we are going to be talking about types of apples and the 25 different types of apples that you should know. I mean, there is a common misconception going around that we could just never agree with, and that is the fact that all apples are the same. Many people believe that you can say stuff like, I love apples, or I'm not the biggest fan of apples, and get away with it. The problem we have with that mentality is the fact that there are hundreds of different varieties of apples for you to pick from, each with their very own signature flavour, aftertaste and consistency. So if you're not that into apples, or better yet, if you're interested to know what the best and most unique varieties you can go for are, keep on watching. That's because for today we decided to bring you a list of 25 different apple varieties that are sure to leave you speechless. So let's not waste any more time and instead hop right into our first pick of the day at number 1 with Gaia Apples. This type of apple is very easy to obtain, which already gives it a plus in our book. On top of that, it is known as a lunchbox staple, especially so since it is so sweet and soft to chew on. If you're primarily looking for a small and delicious treat to keep your munchies at bay, there aren't all that many other varieties that can compete with the classic Gaia apple. It is also a cross between Kids Orange Red and Golden Delicious, so if you want to add in some variety, you can always go for one of those two, as they share a lot of traits with the Gaia apple type. Number 2, Lady Apples. By far one of the oldest type of apples you can find, Lady Apples are very small and easy to grow, and because of how popular they are, they're also very easy to come by. They were originally grown by King Louis XII during the French Renaissance, and they quickly became a staple of Christmas as they were used as a lot of ornaments or garnish on fruit baskets. They are decently sweet and soft to the touch, although if you are primarily looking for a sweet variety, you may want to stray far away from the Lady Apples as they're quite far from it. Number 3, Red Delicious Apples. By far one of the most delicious looking apples in the world, this variety is known for being the most common type to be used in movies on the teacher's desk. What makes them special is that they can be found all year round. They are very popular for applesauce or apple butter, and they can be used to create other varieties such as the Cameo, the Empire, and even the Fuji apple. Number 4, Granny Smith Apples. Granny Smith apples are some of the best treats you could have during a diet, as they are extremely sturdy, crisp, and they make for the best addition to your meal if you're looking for something that's not too sweet to calm your appetite. They were originally discovered by Murray and Granny Smith in Australia, and they immediately became a hit thanks to their uniquely bright green colour and taste. Granny Smith apples are also known for being an exceptional base for apple pie, so if you want to make everyone in your family happy with a simple and delicious meal, you can't go wrong with a Granny Smith apple pie. Number 5, Honeycrisp Apples. This is by far one of the most popular American varieties you'll get your hands on. They are exceptionally tasty and sweet. Honeycrisp apples literally melt in your mouth as you bite down on them. The only real issue with them is the fact that they bruise quite easily, which isn't all that great if you're looking to farm them for a living. But if you can manage to avoid that and you store them in your fridge, you'll find that they can last for several months to no end in the fridge with ease. Number 6, Fuji Apples. Fuji apples were originally created back in Japan as an alternative snacking option for children to consume in between meals. Later on, however, they also became quite a popular product used in baking, mostly due to how sweet and firm they are. They also hold up extremely well in the oven, and as such they are very popular additions to salads or slaws. Number 7, Golden Delicious Apples. If you're more so looking for a very sweet and mellow apple variety to add to your cuisine, Golden Delicious Apples will more than suit your needs. You can easily tell that you're dealing with Golden Delicious thanks to its signature bright yellow colour as well as its thin layer skin. Do keep in mind, however, that they don't last that long, so if you do happen to get your hands on them, it's better to just freeze them to help them stay delicious for as long as possible. Number 8, Mcintosh Apples. Mcintosh apples are popular for people that just love snacking on red apples with a soft yet fleshy inside. They're absolutely addictive, as once you start with them, you won't stop until you're practically full. So if you're looking for an alternative snacking option, definitely consider Mcintosh Apples. With that being said though, you may not want to go for this variety if you're looking to add them to a recipe, as they easily break down when baked, which is not that good for the final product. Number 9, Empire Apples. Empire Apples were originally created in New York back in the 60s. They are known for being especially sweet and firm to the touch, which does make a lot of sense considering the fact that they are a cross between Mcintosh and Red Delicious Apples. They can also be a great alternative to Mcintosh apples if you're looking for a similar tasting apple variety that does not break down so easily while baking. Number 10. Braeburn Apples. Saying that Braeburn apples are just absolutely delicious is a bit of an understatement, but trust us when we tell you that will be the only thing on your mind. They are a hybrid between Granny Smith and Lady Hamilton apples with the added tartness of several other types, which makes them an absolute treat. Number 11. Cortland Apples. Finding the Cortland apples out of the bunch is actually a lot easier than you think, as they are some of the few almost perfectly round to shape apples out there. As far as their looks are concerned, they are known for having a creamy white flesh similar to that of the Mcintosh apples, although they are a bit sturdier, which makes them a better alternative for baking and cooking purposes. They are also very climate resistant, meaning that they can last for longer periods of time without going bad, and they make for a great addition to any fruit salad. Number 12. Winesap Apples. Winesap apples are quite different than most other varieties out there, mostly because of how they border the lines between sweet and sour most of the time. They're very hard to the touch though, which makes them perfect for baking and cooking, and believe it or not, but they're also known for being perfect on top of desserts to offset their sweetness. Number 13. Envy Apples. If you're not that into acidic apples and you're more so into the soft and easy to digest type of apples, you can't go wrong with the Envy variety. These are usually available all throughout October and November, and what's best about them is that they have a slight floral tinge to their taste, which makes them absolutely worth ruining your diet over. They also have a very high content of vitamin C, which in itself is great for the apples as they can be left out for longer periods of time before they eventually brown out. Number 14. Jonagold Apples. If you are a casual enjoyer of golden delicious apples and yet you want to add a little variety to your garden, consider opting for some Jonagold apples instead. They are very sweet and, for lack of a better word, delicious, which in itself makes sense considering the fact that they come from a mixture of Jonathan and golden delicious apples. If you want to snack on them fresh, you'll be happy to hear that they can be found on pretty much any shelf around early spring. But do keep in mind that they don't last all that long, nor do they store well, so they tend to go bad very quickly after you buy them. Number 15. Gravenstein Apples. Gravenstein apples are absolutely worth tasting at least once during your lifetime, as the flavour they have is very aromatic and addictive. The only problem with them is that they're quite hard to come by, as they are almost exclusively grown in the Sonoma County, CA or California, where they are mainly used for the annual festival. Number 16. Esopus Spitzenburg Apples. This variety is believed to have been Thomas Jefferson's favourite back in the day, and for good reason too. It was originally discovered, as the name implies, in Esopus, NY, and it can still be found in Monticello farms even to this day. They're absolutely worth the investment for their floral, almost buttery taste and consistency, and they make for an absolutely delicious apple cobbler. Number 17. York Apples. You'll know if you're dealing with a York Imperial apple or just York simply due to its distinctly lopsided shape. This type was originally discovered by a farmer near York, PA, and it pretty much instantly became a hit amongst the locals. Later on down the line, it also started to spread like wildfire around Virginia and even further south, becoming a staple of their cuisine there. They are known for keeping especially well and even becoming sweeter and sweeter as the years roll on by. Although do keep in mind that they can be a bit too sweet, so if you don't have a sweet tooth, consider eating them earlier during their ripening period. Number 18. Northern Spy Apples. Sadly, the actual history of the Northern Spy apple variety is largely unknown, although there are two close-tied contenders that both claim to have discovered it first. These two contenders are none other than New York and Connecticut, as they both believed to have been the first ones to have found this variety. Regardless of any of that though, the Northern Spy variety is an absolute treat to consume when fresh, especially so thanks to its unnatural high level of vitamin C. They are delicious and quite tarty, and as such they are oftentimes used in cakes. Number 19. Mutsu Apples. The Mutsu apple variety is known for being one of the most famous apple varieties in Japan, and for good reason too. It is a cross between the Golden Delicious and Indo types, and it originates from the Mutsu province of Japan. Back in the day, it used to be sold under the name of Crispin, and you may also find the locals refer to it as such, but anywhere else on the planet they're simply referred to as Mutsu apples. They're quite large and honey flavoured, although they do have a slightly tangy finish, so keep that in mind before buying them. Number 20, Jonagold Apples. The Jonagold variety is another famous cross between the Golden Delicious and the Albemarle Pippin type, and it is a bit of a fan favourite option for those looking for a good base for an apple pie. Thanks to their sweet and refreshing taste though, the Jonagold variety became quite a popular addition alongside yogurt, as a lot of people consider these two go really well when you're craving something sweet. Number 21, Liberty Apples. The history of the Liberty variety is quite vast and hard to grasp, but it can all be summed down to the fact that this was the very first type to be completely resistant to the apple scab disease. As such, the Liberty Apple variety became a hit overnight thanks to the fact that they require little to no pesticides to grow to their full potential. They are also very delicious, sweet and tart, although they're nowhere near the most delicious apples you can get. Number 22, Jazz Apples. Jazz apples are hard to describe simply because they seem like a copy of a lot of other varieties, while also being a unique final product in its own category. But if we had a gun to our head and we were forced to give an explanation as to what makes Jazz apples so good, we definitely have to say that it's the denseness of its texture which makes them so beloved. There's just something so exciting and addictive about biting down on an apple and feeling just how meaty its insides are, as barbaric as that may sound. Number 23, Hidden Rose Apples. Hidden Rose Apples are by far some of the most unique looking apples you'll ever gaze upon. They are green on the outside and pinkish, almost bloody red on the inside. This blush coloured pink flesh is what gave the variety its name, and as you can probably guess by now, it is also its main selling point. They are quite acidic and tarty, although do keep in mind that they're nowhere near the sweetest apples out there, so if you're primarily after that sweet aftertaste, this may not be the variety for you. Number 24, Opal Apples. Opals may just look like dollar store golden delicious apples to the untrained eye, but trust us when we tell you that if you were to have both of them side to side, you'd definitely be able to see and taste the difference. For one, even though they're sweet, they're nowhere near as sweet as the golden delicious apples, but what they do have over them is definitely their crunchiness. What makes them so beloved in the first place, though, is the fact that they never brown, which makes them a perfect addition to any fruit salad, as they won't go bad and ruin the overall aesthetic of the bowl anytime soon. And last but not least, at number 25, we have Crisp Apples. The Crisp variety is Washington State University's greatest achievement, as they put their big brains at work in order to develop the best apple type the world had ever seen. Whether or not they achieved that is up for debate, but still it's worth noting that they managed to achieve their goals in the first place. This variety is a cross between the Enterprise and Honeycrisp types, making them perfectly sweet, juicy and tart all at the same time. So in conclusion, there are plenty of other apple varieties for you to choose from out there, so if you're not satisfied with our list, be sure to check out your local farmers market for more options. The truth is that there is no number one apple type, as we all have different tastes and preferences. This is why we always encourage you to search far and wide to find your very own favourite variety. If you like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe, and let us know down below in the comments which apple type is your favourite apple type, and if there are any new ones that we should be adding to our list today.